Now, I know there's a lot of negativity with the next gen. A lot of people aren't excited for it because a lot of different changes, except for everybody seems to be worshipping the PlayStation 4 at this point. There's still a lot of people kicking dirt in Xbox One's face. But I guess to a certain extent, at least as far as some people are concerned, you know, rightfully so. A lot of their initial plans for it were pretty crappy. And I guess it still is the principle of the matter that they thought of doing that in the first place, which still kind of leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But the one thing I am still very excited for, at least as far as in the coming year, is the games. Because after all, that's really what we buy the consoles for. And there's quite a few different games that I'm very excited for, and I'm just really looking forward to. I'm not going to go ahead and say which console I'm going to be getting on. Unless they're exclusive, then it's obvious which console I'm going to be getting it on. But again, just very excited for quite a few different games. Starting off with The Order 1886. It's a new IP. I'm actually not sure on a lot of details. I mean, they still haven't really given a whole lot out there. But what really intrigues me is actually watching the trailer, which is more likely going to be playing over to the side of me anyways. You kind of have these people that are dressed up like soldiers. They're going into different areas. They're fighting against different, from what it looks like, creatures. In this situation, it seems like it may be werewolves. I don't think it's strictly going to be werewolves. It seems like the Order is going to be fighting against a lot of different supernatural foes and creatures. And the whole Victorian era steampunk style, we have like the Tesla gun he's getting ready to fire near the very end of it. It looks just very exciting. I want to know more about it. They've already have my attention. Let's see if they can keep it. It also has just this feel also of another Victorian era style game where you're fighting against monsters, which is nightmare creatures, which the two stories are completely different, but just again, the whole concept of being in that era, using a whole bunch of different weaponry and just fighting against and killing supernatural creatures and monsters, just to me seems like a whole lot of fun. Dragon Age 3 Inquisition. Holy crap. I know a lot of people were really upset about what happened with Dragon Age 2, and again, that's understandable to at least to a certain extent with the recycled maps. A lot of people felt the story was kind of rushed, or they really just didn't like the scale of it. Arguing for a different time, but I am absolutely ecstatic for Dragon Age Inquisition. Again, another thing with the more they show, the more I have to have it, one way or another. For one thing, it's a BioWare game. I am a slight bit of a BioWare fanboy. I can admit that they had some missteps, but overall, the one thing I think it's very hard to argue is the fact that they are still great storytellers. And this is going to be the third, at least from what they've said, the final, you know, act in this three-part story where everything's going to kind of come together. There's going to be a lot of answers that are going to be revealed as far as even just like the whole greater evil, which I'm not going to go into what theories, again, that'll probably be for another video as well, but just they've managed to keep the fast-paced combat, still some of the tactical from what they've shown. From what they're saying is just one map alone is going to be nearly 3 times the size of even just one of the maps of Dragon Age 2, which doesn't exactly say a whole lot, but the fact that it is at least larger maps, and they're saying this time they're definitely not going to recycle it, is something nice to look forward to. They're also bringing back races, so it's not only just going to be only humans, you could also, again, be either dwarves or elves, so that's something for a lot of other people to be excited that they're bringing back. It seems like they really listen to the fans, and looks like they're trying to make sure that everybody's happy this time around, so I am definitely looking forward to it. I've already signed up for the beta for the Dragon Age Keep to try and create my own backstory, so it's already ready to go for when that game finally does come out. And I'm definitely going to be doing a playthrough if I can, one way or another, even on this channel. Tom Clancy's The Division. I'm not a huge Tom Clancy fan, to be honest. I guess maybe it's because ever since the old 64 days playing Rainbow Six and being able to shoot myself in the foot just to see what would happen, and just even shoot my pinky toe with a pistol kills me in a single hit, kind of just upset me, and I know it's a really stupid reason to say that. But I guess it's the whole, some of the broken mechanics from those previous games, like people being able to see you through walls even though you're trying to be as stealthy as possible and so on. I was just like, I can't handle this. The Division, however, looks very exciting. It looks like it's going to be pretty innovative in what they're trying to do. It is still a squad-based tactical, from when it's shown in certain situations, it's actually going to be a third-person shooter. But the whole idea is it's kind of a somewhat post-apocalyptic, not the one that people would usually envision, but a situation to where, at least from what they say so far, you're going to have any people in different countries are actually going to be set up on different maps in a way that's going to either reflect their country, or they're even saying as small as even just certain regions, or even in some situations. I don't think it's going to be that way, but it'd be impressive if they did cities. That would be very, just mind-blowing if they can manage to pull that off. But I don't see how they would be able to, giving these, scale of all of that for everybody. But what they're planning on doing is having that set up and doing that, and you can work with a squad. There's a lot of different real-time events that happen, and it's just meant to keep you engaged, keep you on your feet, keep you going at all times. And it's definitely something I want to be able to jump into. And I know there's a few other friends who are going to be getting it, so I definitely want to be able to do that with them as well. Project Spark. That's actually going to be an Xbox One exclusive. I mean, there's no secret about that. As I said, I am going to be getting both systems, PlayStation 4 first, then Xbox One due to money situation. But Project Spark is interesting. I mean, at least from what they've shown in E3 and some of the new stuff that's been appearing, it's practically a very advanced RPG maker, or even just, not even necessarily RPGs, but just a game maker that's a video game. You can go ahead and use a video game to make a video game, kind of just go from there. It's a very interesting concept. I mean, some people have managed to do that through mods, and they've been able to do so to some extent as far as Little Big Planet, but this actually gives you the tools, and this whole idea from what they're showing seems to be, hey, make a video game, or go ahead and play pre-constructed video games and kind of just go from there, just have at it. So I am all for that, especially because I'm a sucker when it comes to anything involving some kind of creation software, or even just create a player or anything else like that. You can ask my friends, they make fun of me for it half the time. Sunset Overdrive. Oh my god. I understand it is just a gameplay video, that's not actually what you're going to be doing. It's not. It's just a pre-rendered trailer, but still, it's just nothing that also has me just a full attention, because the over-the-top art style, just the action that's going on, kind of has this weird Team Fortress 2 feel. The fact that it's multiplayer, I don't know if it's really going to be you versus other teams. By the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be cooperative. You're working with a lot of other people. Originally, I thought it was going to be set in the past, because at one point you see one of the characters shooting off an improvised weapon that fires off records, and although you still can find records nowadays, that I wouldn't really think they'd be in that kind of abundance where he had an entire rack of them set up, just be like firing it off, and even just, he had this 80s metal rocker set up to him, but whatever. It actually takes place in the near future. It revolves around the whole either soda or energy drink that you see them using. And what it did is it either killed people or mutated them to the mutants that you see in the video, and you're fighting for survival. And to some extent, you can actually use that stuff as a weapon. As you see him kind of just load up in the shotgun, fires it, and just goes boom, mushroom cloud of devastation. So just the crazy antics, the completely over the top art style, and more likely gameplay has already had me sold. I would like to actually see some gameplay, see more of as far as what the premise is, besides you being in the city, post-apocalyptic, fighting with friends, doing this crazy stuff. I want to see what the gameplay style is going to be, and kind of just go from there. But again, it's still something I'm excited for until they give me a reason not to be. Remedy so far hasn't done me wrong. I would have to say probably one of my favorite survival horror games of all times is Alan Wake. So one game I am definitely excited for is Quantum Break. There's really not much detail that's been released as far as the game is concerned, but one thing they have shown is, besides the teaser trailer, they've shown like a quick trailer to where you see a situation where time is kind of frozen, standing still. You have more likely your two main protagonists, there may be other people involved, and they're kind of there, they're trying to get this person, get her out of there, and there's just kind of a whole situation to where things are kind of just in a state of disarray, and they're trying to understand it and try and fix everything. So I'm putting my faith in Remedy once again. I'm definitely excited to see what they're going to be doing with this new IP. I really want to see it kind of go forward and give that a shot. Super Smash Bros. Okay, I've played, even though it's not my favorite fighting game, because I really don't like fighting games, and yes, it is still considered a fighting game, whether people want to admit it or not. I really want to play the new Super Smash Bros., especially because they've added Mega Man, as well as the fact that you have the Villager. Yes, I actually do play Animal Crossing. It's fun. I mean, it's still a game. It may be a little bit more childish to play, but either way, the villager looks like he's going to play like Mr. Game & Watch, which was somebody I always tried to use, but it doesn't look like he may be in it this time around, and so that's why I'd probably want to play as the villager, or even just play as Mega Man, because who the hell, except for people who don't like Mega Man, wouldn't want to play as Mega Man? It's the fact that they added just some of those people in there, and just even seeing the old roster, because it is Smash Bros. And it's something fun to enjoy. I will be getting it. I will, however, not be getting it for the Wii U, because the way I usually work is there at least has to be 5 games before I will buy a console that I'm interested in, or that I plan on buying right away. And Wii U still hasn't reached that, even with Super Smash Bros. So I'm more likely going to get it on the 3DS, because I already have quite a few different games for my 3DS. I would like to get more games for the 3DS. And there's a few people I know who would be getting it for the 3DS. So Super Smash Bros. 3DS. That's the way I'm going to go. I know I said I wouldn't mention consoles, but I guess in this case it would be a good idea to specify. A Titanfall. I'm definitely going to be getting that game. I'm not much for arena style shooters, with the exception of Team Fortress 2, because again it's more over the top, it's different, you have actual classes. It does look like an odd combination of Call of Duty, but at the same time, at least in Battlefield 2142, you had mechs, to where you kind of just combine the two into mech as well as just run and gun style combat. And it looks like it's at least somewhat refreshing. The one thing I was impressed about is you actually had cutscenes before you even went into the matches, which is something that's not really done before. I mean, that's mostly aesthetics versus actual gameplay, but at least it's different. So I really want to see what they're going to try and do with that game, and it's something I'm more likely going to be playing with other friends who I know are also interested as well. See, this kind of reoccurring theme here. If it's multiplayer and there's other friends I have, that's also going to lead to some level of excitement to play with them. Destiny or Halo Lands. It's probably a better way of explaining it. You have Bungie actually coming out with their own game since Halo, which still looks a lot like Halo, and also Borderlands, since I've already made that joke. But it still looks like it's going to be a fun game. You have your own ships, you have your own characters which you can customize. You have still at least the RPG element of go ahead and choosing different abilities, specializations, and so on. It's going to be a nice little loot and shoot that can also be enjoyed with friends or even probably on your own. And I like the setting. I'm a huge sucker either for high fantasy or even just sci-fi fantasy. The character designs look cool. Some of the enemies they've shown so far look really cool. And again, the whole concept of multiplayer. So it's something I want to play as well, and I'm excited for in 2014. Kingdom Hearts 3, of course. I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts. It's another RPG game. I didn't think I was going to get into at first, back when I played the first Kingdom Hearts, but it's actually surprisingly really good. And I played the first 2, so it only makes sense to play the third. I like to try and finish series if I can, even if they're kind of bad, at least just to say I finished it and give it the benefit of the doubt. So it comes to no surprise that I would be playing Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. Haven't really seen too much other than just some of the gameplay footage, which looks kind of good. I mean, you've seen some crazy stuff that I'm sure they're going to explain later, as far as you summoning just like a train out of nowhere, or even I think there was a giant swinging boat, and just other stuff like that. But this, time progresses, I'm sure we'll get more information on that, and something else I'm looking forward to. Witcher 3, lots of 3s on this list. But CD Projekt Red, I mean, I played, I didn't finish the first one, which is weird. I had it on PC, I don't know why I haven't ever finished it. But from what I played, it was a lot of fun. I did finish 2 on Xbox 360, and that game was also phenomenal, not only as far as stories, character progression, combat was nice and fluid, it was challenging. I had a lot of fun with it, so I really can't wait to see 3, especially because they're kind of going for more of an open world setting. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they tackle this. Because when you go open world, that can come sometimes for certain series or even just certain plans kind of just backfire. It just doesn't go the way people would expect and ends up just being something awful. But I have faith in CD Projekt Red. I really don't think that's going to be the case. If anything, I think it'll, lend something new, just something a little bit more interesting, especially because they'll probably have random events that happen as you're traveling. So actually, if anything, just make it, give it more replayability and have it be a lot more fun as you're playing through it. So definitely Witcher 3 is something I'm interested in playing as well. Because you can never have too many survival horror games or just anything that's supposed to creep you the hell out. Daylight. Still not a whole lot of details. All you have is a teaser trailer, which kind of just shows you what looks like an insane asylum, the whole abandoned room, creepy doll, things just floating up and whatever. The concept, at least from what they're saying so far, is that it's going to be no weapons, no tools, no nothing. Nothing you have is your cell phone, which is also going to be your only source of light. So it's going to, if it's anything like Outlast, it should be just all sorts of awesome, which Outlast was also a great game. And just having that tension build up because there's nothing you can do to try and fight. The only thing you can try and do is survive is something that more survival horror games should have, or if anything, maybe even break it off into its own kind of survival horror genre, because it's not always that scary, or at least as far as game continues on into sequels and so on, to where it's no longer as scary because you've either fought something before or because you're just empowered with weapons or abilities. So games like this tend to be a bit more refreshing in that respect. And besides that, it's also, from what I understand, supposed to be a roguelike. It's procedurally generated rooms, so it's not going to be the same environment twice. So it also adds a huge amount of replayability to the game itself. Another game I'm looking forward to that involves zombies, because nobody can ever get enough zombies, although more than half of you, or the majority of you are probably sick of zombies by now, is Dying Light. Yes, we all know that, Dead Island wasn't that great, and Dead Island Riptide was just completely awful. But you know what? Let's give them another shot. It's practically the same game as Dead Island from what I've seen. I'm excited for it, but I almost question myself as to why. I think maybe it's the whole zombie thing. I know I'm partially a sucker for that, but I'm not a fanboy. I guess maybe I am a fanboy to some extent. Point is, at least from what they've shown, yes, you still have the whole combo weapons. You still have weapons. It feels a lot like Dead Island, which makes sense because it's the same people who made Dead Island. But I guess what's different, maybe interesting, is now they have the inclusion of parkour, so you're kind of moving around a little bit more, so it adds something to as far as, either just getting around a little bit quicker, or you can even use it to your advantage offensively. From what I understand, you're not only going to be fighting off against zombies, but you're also going to be fighting off against other survivors in order to survive, so you also have that to worry about, versus it strictly just being the zombies, which can get repetitive. Because, I'm sorry, but I'd probably be fearing other people more than I would zombies, because I've already seen people do some pretty crazy stuff in the name of at least them saying survival. So I can only imagine if a real horrible situation like this were to break out, how it would be like. That aside, not only that, but what they said is kind of similar to Dead Rising and just other certain zombie games. When it actually becomes dark, it's not so much about going around killing zombies anymore. It's absolutely about survival, because not only can you get overrun because there's a lot of low light, you don't have a whole lot of light sources to work with, but also at the same time, the zombies become a lot stronger, almost to the point, from at least from what they said, they become almost indestructible. So it's no longer about, fighting them. So at least it adds a new level to gameplay, because then what it is during the day, you really don't want to go around just killing zombies for the sake of killing zombies, because you want to be able to head and survive, because you're also supposed to be able to scavenge supplies. That's the whole point of even going out in the first place. And you really want to make it back to whatever the safest point is before nightfall. So at least there's something more to it than kind of just what Dead Island or Dead Island Riptide was, to some degree. Dark Souls 2. I mean, there's just numerous people actually waiting for that. I know there's friends I have who've been in beta. Everybody's talking about Dark Souls. It has a huge following. I've only ever played Demon Souls, and even then only just the beginning of it so far. It's still something I'm actually continuing to play, and also doing some recording for a playthrough for it, which kind of started prematurely, but will continue. So many tangents I keep going on, I'm sorry. But I have Dark Souls. Well, actually, I will have Dark Souls, because my brother already told me that's one of the things he's getting me for Christmas. There's no mystery in it anymore. And so, of course, when Dark Souls 2 comes out, it's something I want to kind of continue, because, again, if there's a series of games, I usually try to go through the entire series if I can. And I just really like Demon Souls. I really like the challenge to it. It's a lot of fun. It's different. It's still an RPG, which I'm a big fan of RPG games, probably more than anything. and the whole fighting against supernatural creatures, dragons, all that other stuff is just a lot of fun. So there's no reason why I wouldn't be excited for Dark Souls 2, especially seeing some of the gameplay. They're saying it's supposedly going to be even harder than the previous games, and Demon Souls has been somewhat difficult so far, not as hard as what people have told me it's going to be. Again, I'm only in the beginning though, so I'll probably get my ass handed to me later. But again, still something for at least for the challenge, the setting, the gameplay, considering it's going to be pretty similar. There's no reason why I wouldn't be excited for this game going forward. Holy crap, The Evil Within. Besides Dragon Age 3, I'll probably have to say The Evil Within is probably my most anticipated game, hopefully, that will be released by 2014. It's kind of a very close tie between Dragon Age 3 Inquisition and Evil Within. It's from actually the original creator of Resident Evil. It definitely has a very heavy Resident Evil, Silent Hill, just other influences you can definitely see that are within this game. And there are going to be certain parts where it is strictly about survival and not fighting. Certain situations it's probably better to just survive and get past a foe than it is to fight. Then there's other situations where you're not really going to have much of a choice but to fight. A lot of things they're showing, I mean, it's definitely just looks incredible so far graphically. Just the creepy scenery that they kind of set you in. I mean, sure, you know the insane asylum's been done before, but this looks like it's going to be at least somewhat different. Like I said, at least as far as the way they're treating the gameplay. It's not going to be simply just you have all these weapons just littered all over the place with lots of ammo and all these items. You got this. Don't even worry about it. Or and it's not so much as you're just running around with just a camcorder, like I said, with daylight, just a cell phone, so you're completely helpless. The only thing you can do is just run around. This, you kind of, in certain situations, it's going to be a little bit of both, or even you get to pick and choose how you want to try and face those different kind of situations. So I'm very intrigued. I mean, it's great to see, you know, yet another game brought to the whole survival horror fold. This time, actually, again, from the original creator of Resident Evil, and kind of see what he's going to go ahead and bring to the table, because as far as the previous Resident Evil games are concerned, they haven't exactly been great, or at least not what a lot of the fans have been hoping for. So hopefully this changes people's minds. A lot of people enjoy it. I hope to enjoy it, and I'm very excited to see what they can do with it. South Park and the Stick of Truth. And that may come as a surprise to a few people, but again, I love RPGs. Yes, there's a creative player, which I already know I'm probably going to get made fun of for as well. And I'm not the biggest fan of South Park, but at least the recent seasons I've seen, it seems like their writing's a lot more witty, as well as still sometimes raunchy. It's a completely original story created by the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. So to see what they can come up with, especially because they're working so intimately with the team. It was previously THQ, and now I believe it's Ubisoft that has it, if I'm not mistaken. And just to kind of see what they can come up with, especially because they've pushed it back a few times already. Usually for some people it would be a sign that something bad's happened, but considering that they are now acquired by a different developer altogether and continuing from there, if anything, it seems like they just really want to get it perfect. And from a lot of these screenshots that they've shown, the turn-based, or what looks like turn-based RPG style, there's a lot of different elements that have kind of just thrown in together, not to mention just the whole South Park universe. It seems kind of story they can come up with as something I really want to give a shot. I think I'm actually going to have a whole lot of fun with. I know if I don't, at least my wife will. So either way, it's a win-win. And it's definitely a game I'm looking forward to in the year 2014. Or even just if it gets pushed back for God knows what reason. Any of these games, I'll be looking forward to the future is really the idea. And that's really going to be about it as far as what I have now. I mean, there's more likely going to be more games that are going to be announced, more games that are going to be released. Some of these games may even be getting pushed back. But these are definitely games I'm excited for in the future. Games may be added to that list. But if there's any games you think you'd be interested in out of what I've mentioned in the list, anything you'd like to talk about, or other games I may not have listed that you may be excited for, go ahead and leave your comment down below as far as which game you want to go ahead and talk about, which one you're excited about, and so on. And thanks for watching. Until next time. I am sorry, Cyber Demon, but I'm never ever going to Let's Play Mega Man X6 because I simply cannot do it justice the same way that you've done, especially